Hey guys, thanks for joining me in the studio. You know, one of the fastest and most powerful ways that you can improve your painting is to get a critique of one of your paintings by a professional artist. And I know this because I've given thousands of student critiques over the years, and I've taught in loads of countries all around the world, live workshops and online workshops. And of course, what I try to do in all my painting lesson videos is to give you all of the knowledge that I have of painting. But there is nothing quite like having a professional artist take one of your paintings and look at it and tell you exactly what you've done right and what could be done better. Hey Sherry, thanks for sending in your painting. Really nice scene, isn't it? This is the Hanalei Fields. Are they rice fields? I'm not sure what they are. But I've been to this same spot on the Garden Island of Kauai. It's a beautiful spot on the way to Hanalei Bay. Yeah, it makes a nice subject for a painting. So a lot of nice stuff you got happening in here. You're trying out, you know, different ways to create texture with the brush, and obviously adding in lots of variety in the color there, which is cool. Some quite impasto paint in the foreground, very nice, and obviously conscious of creating a variety of shapes as well, and working with creating atmospheric perspective, creating the distance as we go back into space. So very nice stuff, and a bit of a spotlight effect in the middle there on the fields. So experimenting with playing with light, and also getting a feel for using atmosphere to separate the bottoms of these sections, you know, with the fronts of the next sections. So that's very nice, all good work. So let's talk about what could be done better or different. Let's have a look at this in black and white for a start. Okay, so the biggest thing that I notice is different between the actual scene, the photo, and the painting is that in the photo you got all this very dark stuff in the foreground, right? And that's basically the first plane of depth. But the darkest stuff in your painting is these little features here, right? So they're darker than, or at least the same darkness as your darkest darks in the foreground. Okay, so that is spoiling the sense of depth, right? Because let's convert the photo into a black and white, and you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. So you can clearly see how the foreground darks are a lot darker. So these darks are a lot darker than the darkest darks in there, right? So let's look at that with the color picker. Okay, that's the darkest dark, and let's see what color that is. So pretty much black, right? Now let's color pick this one, the darkest dark in there, and it's up from black, right? So it's like a difference between there and there. Yeah, so that is what is giving this great sense of depth and size and vastness to the scene, is this separation of values, these value planes. Okay, and because in black and white you can see that all this stuff here sort of blends in depth-wise with all of this stuff here. Yeah, because look at the difference between that and what's happening here. See what I'm saying? Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing that really grabs my eye is this this sharp edge here. Just looks unnatural. If you see what's going on in the photo, that's a it's a smooth transition through there, and it gets slightly lighter and lighter as it gets up the top there, right? So to do that in your painting, it'll be like that. Yeah, already that looks more natural. Another thing I could see, talking about that sort of effect, is this edge. There we go. This edge up here, see that edge? If you compare it to this edge, you've got more of an outline happening, especially in this little bit here. And that kind of spoils the effect. You've got to really be careful to not make an outline effect when you're doing that, painting mountains like that. Also this, if you look at these two things, this color and that color, or value, they're both the same value. The only thing that separates them is this dark edge you've got. Whereas if you look in the photo, this is lighter than that. Okay, so that's just a subtle little thing that'll make a difference there. Okay, so the next thing I want to look at is the drawing, because what you've done with the drawing of these fields here, let me just, actually I'll show you the actual lines. That you're making. Nope. Okay, so they're all heading off to a point roughly up there somewhere, right? Now let's look at the ones from the photo. We'll see where they go to, roughly. So try and get it as close as possible. So they're going to a point like here, right? So what this point is actually telling you is the level of that point where those lines converge. is actually the horizon line. And the horizon line is your eye level. So that's telling you that if this whole valley was filled with water, or if you were to look directly and levelly across the valley, your eye is at this level here, right? So that's telling the viewer your height above the ground plane down there. All right. So what you've done by changing the lines of those things is you're telling the viewer that you're now, you know, several hundred feet up in the air, up here. Okay. So that's why getting those angles right is important, because that tells the viewer where they are placed in the scene. Okay. So I get rid of those. So if you look at it, they're much thinner, sharper shapes. Whoop. Than what you're making there, basically. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the color. All right, so color-wise, we talked about the value of this thing being the same as the value of that thing, and also you've made the color the same as well, right? Whereas if you look in the photo, let's say an average spot here is sort of, you know, a dark greeny color. Let's have a look at that. See where that is. That's where it is in there, right? And let's have a look at the color back here in the shadow. Take that one there. Okay, so it's a very gray blue, yeah, back there. Let's take a more green one. Let's see. So even if it's green, it's still a very gray green, right? Yeah, so in the foreground, the color is all over this side, which means it's more saturated, more colorful, got less gray in it. And in the background here, it's all the colors are over here. They're lighter for a start, and they've got a lot more gray in them. Okay, so that's the color difference. And you can always accentuate that. Let's see what happens if you were to increase the saturation of the photo there. Keep your eye on the photo. I'm going to increase the saturation. Zoop, all the way up to there. I'll do it fast so you can see. Whoop. See, and suddenly the shadows in the background become a lot bluer. All right. All right. So, if you'd like me to paint this scene, and see how it would look if I just paint right over the top of your image, well, let's have a look. I'll build it up in layers. I'll just take colors directly from the scene. Now I could change the color of the sky. I could make it a clear blue, right, and make it a much sunnier day, not so overcast, but that would be making big changes across all of this stuff, right? So because the lighting condition for the whole thing will change. So I'm not going to do that because that's, I think, too big a change for you to consider. So I'm just going to go with what you've been doing and trying to paint what it is that you're seeing, and just changing a few little things, because that's the level that you're at the moment. Just trying to come to grips with painting reality and changing it little bit by little bit. Further on down the line, then you can start changing the lighting condition and weather conditions and stuff once you are better at painting reality just as you see it. So I'm just color picking, just grabbing colors right out of the photo. So very quick way to do it, very kind of a cheats way to do it, but it's going to just demonstrate some points for you. So I'm doing it on a layer over the top, so we can do this before and after thing once we're done. So I'm just painting the shadow color in first. The base coat that will have all the lights on top of it. And this is the way I'd do it in actual paint as well. So that spotlight idea you have, that's a really nice idea. So we'll try and remember to do that. Okay, and right, so next, actually, no, I'll keep blocking in, keep doing a block in. But I'll make another layer for that, make that easier to deal with. So let's see, So it looks like you've taken this tree here and moved it over there, which is a nice idea. So I'll continue to do that. It would be nice to connect that shape right up to the background. I'll just put a little extra detail in there. All the different sorts of brushes you can use in this program. Pretty cool. Makes it more interesting texturally. Okay, I just wonder what that would look like if we flipped it over. I guess it's all right. What I might do is just move that over, because see how it's so central like that? It's not great. I think this would be better, especially when it's balanced by the that tree on the right. So I'll just extend some of that stuff out. So easy with layers. Imagine trying to do that with your painting on the canvas. Very tricky. I'll soften that out. Okay, and I'll just put a trimming layer over the top as well. Oops. Do that again. There we go. Okay, a bit tidier. Actually, I think this tree might look better if it was, yeah, it's better. See, because that way all the branches and stuff, which is all interesting detail, is pushed to the edge of the painting, whereas that keeps it more central, which is a better idea. I wonder what it would be like if we had another layer in front, which was like jungle vines and stuff growing off. That'd be pretty cool. Or, oops. Or maybe some trees like this, you know, bamboo or whatever. Yeah, different ideas. Or it could introduce this grass layer as well. Could do, but I don't think it helps because this is the center of interest, whereas if you put all that grass there, there's a lot of contrast and shape interest all in this area, so that's not really a great idea. Okay. Might just straighten that up a bit. There we go. Okay, good idea to keep looking at the painting in a mirror as well. Okay, so looking at it from that way, it all still looks a little tilted to me, so sort that out like that. Looks a bit better. Okay, it's starting to look good. All right, switch it back. Okay, now if I'm going to put some bushes and trees and things on here, just put in the darkest parts first. Then lighter parts on top. What I might do is just boost the color a little in that area because I'm going to create a spotlight effect through that whole thing. But digitally I can actually do that later, so I don't need to fiddle with the paint right now. So what I'll do is just do some indication of these little fields. Don't need to go crazy and draw every field. And obviously don't need to copy exactly what's going on in the photograph. And you just got to make sure that as the fields get over in this area that they get thinner, and over here they get fatter. Now, digitally, it's very easy to go in and change some stuff on a broad scale. I'll show you what I mean. I can just lightly brush over that whole area and raise the saturation, the lightness. So that's before, after. So maybe a better way to do it is through the curves. Yeah, I'll try that. Okay, so that's blue actually. Let's see. Alright, so that's quite a nice effect. That's before and after. Yep. Another thing I could do, I'll just put a little cloud in there. Sort of a bit reminiscent of what's going on in the fields down below. There's a bit of perspective to it. Yeah. And I could make that whole background a little bluer, which would make it nicer to look at, I suppose, color-wise. But I'm just going to go ahead and change the foreground. Do a bit on the foreground first. So the light's coming straight down, pretty much. So I always think about that when I'm starting to light a form. Like, where is the light coming from? Okay. Now, if I were to boost the color, like increase the contrast in the foreground, I'll show you what happens if I do that. Okay. Oop. So it's before and after. Before and after. So, excuse me, you can see that if I keep the foreground really quite dark, you get a much better sense of depth and separation from the foreground and the background, right? And the shapes of the tree and the branches, that when it's darker against that light background, it becomes much more interesting. Whereas if I lighten everything up, that's not so interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it dark like that. I'll put a little bit of grayer reflected light on the just in there a little bit. Let's see how that works. Maybe a little more blue. So just adding a little more color variety, although it's still dark, right? I'm still keeping it dark. And I could throw in a little more let's see. Just a little more texture. Okay. So let's see before and after right now. I'll just group this. Okay, so before, after. Before, after. Okay, so if you think about all of the things I was talking about that have been demonstrated in this painting that I've done, and you can just rewind the video to go over all that stuff. Before, after. Before, after. So another thing I might consider doing is maybe just cropping it down a little bit. Yeah, because I don't think having all that sky up there does anything for it. Maybe it does, I'm not sure. I kind of like a tighter cropping myself. But it gives a more a sense of expansiveness, so I don't know, depends what you're after. I talked about making the background bluer to make it more of a sunny day. So digitally, that's a very easy thing to do. So I'll show you that. Actually, might be an easier way. Okay. I know, it's green. I'm going to change it. So now I can change the hue. Don't know if that's changing it as much as I'd like, so well, let's have a look at it anyway. So before and after, so it looks nicer, doesn't it? I think, but let's see if I can do a better job. Color balance. Highlights more blue. Midtones more blue. Okay. So let's see, before, after. That's okay. Could be an even better way to do that. Let's just try again. Amazing, isn't it, how quickly you can make changes digitally. That's pretty punchy. All the different things you could try. It really is a great tool to experiment with. So that's a pretty good one. So you can see before and after, before and after. That looks pretty natural. Oh, there's the other version, a bit punchier. Let's see if I duplicate that. Very punchy. Yep. So, sorry if I'm getting a little distracted here. You could really play around with this all day and come up with lots of different ideas. At some point I have to stop and give you a chance to go over this and assimilate all this information. Just some ideas. All sorts of stuff you could do. So that's my best go at it in a short time. So before and after. Before and after. Alright, so hope you got a lot out of that, and the best thing you could do is to paint a whole new painting with all of that new information on board. That would help you tremendously. If not that, then paint a similar scene and apply all those new concepts and techniques. So hope you have fun with it. Okay, see you in the next one. So that's the end of the critique, and that's pretty much exactly what you'll receive for your painting if you purchase the service and you just upload a photo of the painting you're working on and a resource photo if you have it, and also talk about what you're trying to achieve, what you struggled with, that sort of stuff. And I'll put all of that into this personalized professional painting critique for you. So I look forward to seeing your painting.